And next this week we saw M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening, and there's in this film there's two stories that are happening. There's a story involving this event that's taking place, that it starts in Central Park and people become disoriented and they start walking backwards, and then inexplicably they start killing themselves, whether it be with hairpins or jumping off of buildings. And there's another story involving Mark Wahlberg and Zooey Deschanel, who are a married couple who are having some fairly insignificant marital problems. And there's some theories that start to take place, whether it be a terrorist attack or government conspiracy cover-up. And they run into a person who owns a plant store who says that he thinks it's the plants. But both of these stories, without having some sort of concrete explanation for the event or a cause for it that's fairly concrete, or this story involving Mark Wahlberg and Zoe, that story is fairly inconsequential, and it's boring.
Yeah, and that's really the problem, is the event itself. About halfway through, when somebody is laying down in front of a lawnmower and letting it run over them, I was just bored by it. It's because it really, if it's plants killing us, I didn't really buy that. But I mean, it's not even really important what's causing it, but it becomes dull after a while, and it's like, there's more people killing themselves. So if that's not what the movie is about, and I don't think it was, then it needs to be about the married couple, and there has to be some sort of crisis between them that they're forced to resolve because of the event. And the wife sits down and has dessert with some other guy who it turns out is played by M. Night Shyamalan, but you never see him or hear him. But he credits himself as Joey, the mysterious phone call guy. And so I mean, if that part of the story isn't interesting either, then you're just left with two halves of a dull movie. And that's really all this boils down to.
Yeah, and there was. Mark Wahlberg, I think, does a fairly decent job with what he's given. I mean, he did strike me watching this as a teacher. I mean, he pulled that off fairly convincingly. But Zooey Deschanel, she always has this look of wide-eyed bewilderment, no matter what's happening. So I think her acting in this it didn't come across as any type of sense of urgency in either of the stories that I was watching.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, you just don't care about the characters that much anyways, and that doesn't help. So, another misfire from Shyamalan, who maybe should have saved The Sixth Sense for his fifth or sixth movie. Although, I mean, this really just goes to show, if in Hollywood, if you make one really good movie, you can make a bunch of other movies that aren't necessarily as good.
Yeah.
But The Happening, I'd say skip it.
I agree.
We'll be right back.